Hello and welcome. Welcome to my replay viewers. I'm glad you could join in. It's good to see you all tonight. Hello, Jessica. If you were here earlier today, then this is all a repeat. But this afternoon, I was giving this Periscope and I got a phone call. And apparently, if you get a phone call during your Periscope, it kicks you off. So then my one Periscope turned into two Periscopes because I was continuing it in a second one. So I deleted those and I'm just kind of rehashing everything and going over the birthday freedoms again tonight so that they're all in one Periscope. So at the beginning, I was showing my website, and I'm just going to hold that up for you guys. I am Mary, and I'm a homeschooling mom of 4 children, and I blog and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at Not Before 7. That's also where you're watching this Periscope, is at Not Before 7. And I just wanted to go over something I blogged about recently, and that is our freedom birthday idea. This is an idea that was given to me many years ago. I had toddlers, and I took out and interviewed various women that I encountered who had older children, and I just wanted to pick their brains for some wisdom, and I would ask them things that they wished they had done for birthday and Christmas holiday traditions that they're glad that they did, and just kind of pick their brains about parenting. And one of the questions I would ask is, what is something that you really loved that your family did? And this was the answer from one of the pastor's wives I was interviewing, and it was her freedom box. And my husband and I loved it, and we have adopted it for our own family. So the idea of the freedom box was that she looked around and she saw so many adults fighting with their adult grown children over control of areas of their children's lives that really they needed to not be trying to control anymore. They saw them having battles over clothing and curfew, and this is with 19 and 20-year-old children. And she knew that her and her husband did not want to do that. They didn't want to fight their children while their children were trying to grow up. They instead wanted to come up with a system to celebrate and honor their children as they were growing up, and to slowly give them control over their lives. So by the time they turned 18, it was already happening, and everybody was going to be at the point where they were ready for their adult child to be in control of themselves at 18 years old, which I think is reasonable. So my husband and I have adopted the idea for ourselves, and the basic idea is that starting at age 10, at each birthday, we write our child a letter, and we just gush over how wonderful they are and all the amazing things we see in their lives and their characteristics and their gifts and just what we see them doing. And then we discuss an area of their life that we have seen maturity and responsibility, and we hand it over to them. And we tell them that that is now their freedom, that they have the freedom and responsibility over this area of their life, and we are no longer in charge of it. We always want to be their advisors and people that they turn to for advice, but we will no longer be the ones in charge and making the rules. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you our entire list of freedoms, and that way if you just want to screenshot it and head on out of here because you have things to do, and you can go read all of this on my blog at Not Before 7. It's actually the current post right now. But this is our list of freedoms, and if you stick around, I'm going to go through each of the freedoms and how it works. So let me hold that up. We have the freedom of things, the freedom of a phone, the freedom of your hair, music, clothing, makeup, internet, money, accessories, the car, the house, your bedtime, food, non-internet media, and social media. I think what's missing on here is freedom of your bedroom, which I will add. So these are the freedoms that we offer our kids. And there it is for you if you needed a screenshot. They're also all listed out on my blog. So you can also read them there. And I'm just going to go through each and what it means to us when we hand over freedom. One caveat is once you hand your kids a freedom, you don't get to take it back. So we think through these long and hard before we hand them over, because there'd be no fun in that if mom and dad could just change their mind. So what we have done is at age 10, everyone does get the same freedom. It's been dubbed the freedom of stuff or the freedom of things. It was kind of had a long name, the freedom to own a nice object. And what we do is we give them their first expensive object that is theirs. It's not for family use. So everyone so far has gotten a digital camera when they turn 10 years old. And it's their camera. No one else is allowed to use it. They can share it. They can certainly lend it to someone, but they buy a case for it, and it's their responsibility to keep it charged. And from there on out in our home, they're allowed to own expensive objects. Up until the age of 10, because we knew this freedom was coming, we didn't allow anyone to own something personal that was expensive. So we have a family video camera and a family camera and a family iPad, but we really have saved that privilege for turning 10 and up, that you then can receive nice objects that are your own. So the family that we took this from did a bike at 10 and gave them a freedom of their bike, and they got their first nice bike, and it was their responsibility to keep it in the garage and take care of it, and then they had the freedom to bike around the neighborhood. All right, some of the other ones we have, the rest are in no particular order. We do not see these freedoms as something each child gets at a certain age. So just because you turn 12 doesn't mean you're going to get a particular freedom. You have to earn them, and that's why there's such a big list, because we pull from it for different children based on what we see in their lives going on. So there's freedom of a phone, we've discussed, and that would be the age that maybe we buy our children their first phone. I'm thinking it will not be a smartphone, because I'm not so sure about handing them the internet to run around with, but something they can text with and call us with. And maybe part of the gift would be the phone, maybe it would be to pay for the plan for a year, something like that you might work out. Freedom of your bedroom. Freedom of your bedroom includes the ability to decorate it how you want, hang whatever you would like in the bedroom, and also that mom and dad can't tell you when to clean it anymore. That would be your responsibility, to keep your room clean. And if you don't keep it clean, then we're going to shut the door and you're going to live in your own little pigsty, and we won't be vacuuming it on Saturday mornings. So they do know that we vacuum on Saturday mornings, Daddy does. And if their room's clean, then it gets to be vacuumed. And if they have freedom of their room and they don't have it clean Saturday morning, well, then it won't be vacuumed by Daddy. Right now, no one has freedom of their room, so everyone cleans their room Saturday morning. And we definitely have one child who will never get freedom of their bedroom while they're living in our house. That's a family joke, but it's true. The next one is freedom of hair, and that is the freedom to dye your hair, chop your hair, shave your head, do whatever you want with your hair. And I can't tell you to brush it anymore, or to wash it, or to do anything with it. It's all up to you. And again, we definitely have children who would be ready for that, and we have children that I'm a little afraid that if I'm not on them to brush their hair, they might never do it. But again, they're young, so they grow into these freedoms. Freedom of your music. This would mean that you don't have to ask permission to download music, and whatever the lyrics are, they are. So this one's not actually as hard for me as it might be for some people. I tend to listen to a lot of variety of music and pop music. But right now, the kids do have to ask permission to download songs, and I do require the clean versions on certain ones. And some, I've just said no, it's just too much, even if we occasionally hear it on the radio. But once they receive the freedom of music, they could download whatever they wanted. And some good gift ideas for that might be some iTunes gift cards, maybe their own set of wireless speakers. What else here? Oh, headphones might be another good one, like Beats by Dr. Dre or something. Another freedom is the freedom of your clothing, and this would mean that you would allow them to wear whatever they wanted. So you have to hand this over when you're ready for crop tops and mini skirts and whatever they might want to wear. So just think that through. Any colors, it opens a lot of doors. So you just have to be ready for that one. No one in this house has gotten that yet. But again, my oldest child is only 13. So we haven't had to give out a lot of freedoms quite yet. And maybe a fun idea for that would be to take them to the mall and let them go shopping at their favorite clothing store. Another one would be freedom of makeup, where they could wear whatever makeup they wanted and however they wanted. We've done this a little differently in our house because starting in middle school, we give a makeup item in their stocking. So in 6th grade, you get lipstick and lip gloss, and in 7th grade, there'll be another item this year, and 8th grade has yet another. So I don't know if and when we'll do freedom of makeup, or if that's something that will just happen with Christmas, but I think it's a great idea, and you could get them a makeover at the mall or a makeup case or something fun along those lines. Freedom of the internet is another freedom we have written down here. We're not really sure what that'll look like. It might be more of a freedom of screen time, where no longer do we put limits on them, but we let them start setting it themselves, accessing whatever they want. We haven't really fleshed that one out, but at some point we do recognize the fact that our children will have to be responsible for their own internet use. So we've discussed if that's going to be an age, it probably would be close to 17 if they get it before 18 at that point. And a great gift idea would be getting their first laptop or maybe their own iPad. Freedom of money is another one. This would be allowing them to spend their money however they like it. So if you're a family that has certain rules for money, like they put a percent away to give away and they put a percent to save, this would be when you stopped enforcing that. We haven't really done that a whole lot with our kids. In fact, my 13-year-old and my 11-year-old have both been given the freedom of money. They've shown a lot of compassion and responsibility with saving their money and using their money for others, and also saving up to buy their own stuff. So we gave that one away pretty early so that they could buy their own iPods. That wasn't something we intended to buy. They're pretty expensive, so they saved up and they did that with the freedom of their money. Because our gift, of course, with freedom of money was a significant amount of cash. Another one was freedom of accessories. We actually gave this to my oldest daughter when she turned 11, and this was that she could now wear dangly earrings, she could wear high heels, whatever she wanted. And we specifically chose that for her that year because she had gotten into jewelry design and she was making and selling jewelry, and it just seemed to fit. She had shown a lot of interest and responsibility in that area, and she bought her first pair of wedge sandals shortly after that too, and that was really fun. So that was another good one. A gift idea, we actually took her downtown to my favorite jewelry store and let her pick a pair of earrings, and gave her some other accessories, scarves and things like that. I talked about freedom of things. That's what we do at 10. We have freedom of the car. We pretty much see that as a standard at 16, that you get keys to the car and be allowed to drive it, assuming you pass your driver's test and it's shown the ability to drive. I'm not saying I would buy them a car at 16. I would give them keys to the family cars. Freedom of the house. This would be when you let your kids stay home alone, and maybe there's a certain age in your house that would be acceptable. For us, this isn't one that's going to work because we lived in Maryland for a time, and 8-year-olds were legally allowed to stay home alone, and we kind of did a big deal at 8 and started letting our kids stay home alone for short periods of time just to kind of have fun with that. So we can't really do this one, but it would be a great one. And you could give them a house key or the garage code or something like that. Freedom of your bedtime. This would be you deciding when it's time to go to bed. And it might be that you allow them to decide when it's time to even go upstairs, but it might be that you ask them that there are nights, if mom and daddy are going to watch a movie, have a little dinner date or something, that you might send them upstairs, but they can decide when to turn their light off and that they take responsibility. I really can't come up with a great gift idea for this. New pajamas, alarm clock, maybe a bed redo with sheets and a comforter. I don't know. Or you could just get them whatever you want and give them the freedom. Another big one in this house that actually my 13-year-old just earned is the freedom of food. And that would be to eat whatever you wanted at whatever time. You wouldn't have to ask anymore for permission to get a snack, but you could just go ahead and help yourself when you wanted food. And this was a big deal to her. So it's come at an interesting time because it's Halloween and there's a lot of candy around, and she's pretty excited that she could just grab a piece of candy. But she also feels a lot of responsibility, which is why we gave it to her, because she has shown responsibility in keeping herself healthy. And so she has asked me, do you think it's a good idea to have some candy right now? Do you think it's okay to have a banana? That kind of stuff. So she was really excited about that. And her big gift is she gets to go to the melting pot with her father and I, which I think she's really looking forward to. And then, of course, freedom of media that's not internet. So you could pick your own books, your movies, your TV shows, and you wouldn't have to ask permission to see that certain movie or watch that certain show. That might be one you consider giving your kids as well. And maybe the gift could be a movie theater gift card or something like that. And then at 18, everyone will get freedom of themselves. So we thought that was a pretty exciting one. And that would be standard because we would be recognizing that they were adults and that we would see them more as roommates in our house now. And hopefully we've honored our relationship and celebrated their independence and their growing up, and we'll have great relationships with them, and they can still seek our opinions and we can still respect the decisions that they're making, even if they're different than the ones we would make. And that is our ultimate goal. So this was just a way for our family to be able to celebrate that and have that happen. So you can read more about this on my blog if you're interested in it. I just wrote some posts about it, and I'm glad you guys tuned in. Just for one last screenshot, if anyone needs it, are the freedoms. Ooh, let me get my hand out of there. And that's all. So thanks a lot for tuning in, and I'll see you all another time.